There's no shortcuts in art. Practice more. I think we've all heard experienced artists or like art teachers tell us this stuff. That's nonsense. For anything you do, anything you learn, there's always shortcuts. It just takes time and effort, to find and exploit them. And I teach art for a living, and I'm fascinated with the science of learning faster. So I've already done the hard work for you for this week's episode of YouTube Art School. So sit back and let me show you how to improve faster with less practice. Alright, class is in session. Pay attention. Most people don't know how to learn, so we're gonna tackle this meta learning concept and break down the process into 8 parts to learn how to learn. 8 really simple things that you can start doing to cheat your way into becoming a better artist faster, to gain a seemingly unfair advantage over everyone else. I've been doing this stuff myself, and I've never improved as fast at any point in my life so far. It's powerful stuff, and it all starts with getting early wins. If you're like most artists, we all got into art, or rather kept at it, because we got praised about it at some point. Maybe it started with your parents complimenting your crappy drawings. Maybe it was after posting online and getting your first positive comment from a complete stranger. Those early wins, those first boosts in happy hormones that we, naturally get after being praised, are super important for motivation. It's positivity that will help you, keep motivated to keep going, to put in effort and power through difficult problems until you get the next win. Of course, it's ideal if you can feel satisfied just by doing art for the fun of it. But I think as artists, the art is just our chosen way to communicate with others, to express ourselves. And, well, you kind of need a listener to communicate that with. Hard to communicate alone. This brings us to the second point. In whatever you do, narrow your focus. Trying to get good at everything is a recipe for failure. You'll feel way better about yourself if you level up a single skill significantly instead of improving many different skills by like a negligible amount because you were spread too thin. It's science. When we can see more clearly the progress we make, when we reach our goals, however small, it feels rewarding and it keeps us going. If you're practicing everything and are having a hard time noticing your progress, well, your brain will kind of just start telling you to stop when it doesn't feel rewarded often enough. And that's why we give up. Put all your eggs in the same basket instead. Focus your effort on something very specific, like getting good at drawing faces, or good at drawing the human body, like without the face maybe. After you've leveled up that one skill a few times, then move on to another and repeat the process. Narrow your focus. Don't spread yourself thin. Now, the third point in our list is to practice often, but only for short periods. With school projects, growing up, we're kind of trained to spend hours upon hours until we're done with something, to get it out of the way and to go play video games. But that's a crappy way to get better at something. Studies clearly show we learn faster and retain more information by introducing a lot of breaks in our studies, and by spending no more than 15 to 30 minutes without a break. This doesn't apply to creative work as much, like if you're painting for fun, but it definitely applies to art studies, like learning to draw the anatomy, learning perspective, or trying to memorize a new method to draw hands, for example. It might feel a little weird at first, but set a short timer to make it a habit to interrupt yourself whenever you do any mental work. The harder the topic is for you, the more frequently you should take breaks. And people who take many breaks retain way more information than the ones who don't. This effect actually has a name. It's called the spacing effect, and you should definitely start using it. The next point on our list is to follow expert frameworks. A structured approach to learning built by an expert, basically. I seek this for anything that I'm not an expert in, whether it be learning from fitness experts on how to work out my body, to achieve my goals faster, or learning to cook, or learning to race cars. There are many experts out there who've dedicated their entire career to teaching others how to do what they do best. And well, the older I get, the more obvious it becomes that those are the people that I should go to speed up my own progress. I don't ever plan to become a professional at any of those skills, but I value my time and I take my hobbies seriously. So it makes sense to me, at least, to want to get as good as possible in as little time as possible. And if you're an artist watching this, you're definitely at the right place. I spent the last 15 years teaching and learning about teaching art. It's my passion. The channel is full of free content, but the structure can definitely be missing. So if you're just looking for something where everything is handed to you, where you get absolutely everything you need to go from zero to pro, I also have an art program that I've dedicated years of my life building, with video classes, exercises, an awesome Discord community, and a study workbook that you can follow week by week to know exactly what to do. And you can find the link to that in the video description or by visiting cgart.school. The holiday sale just started, so you'll be able to get the entire program at a massive discount until the end of the month. It just might be what you've been missing. Check it out. Now on to the next point on the list, which is to shrink the feedback loop as much as possible. So how as toddlers and kids, we always have a parent or an authority figure right there almost at all times to correct anything that we're doing wrong. Well, we kind of lose that as we get older, don't we? People stop giving us feedback because they think that we got our shit together, but we don't. So that's what you should try to find when it comes to your art. It's not easy to find. My art program has a Discord community, like I said, which is a great place for students to ask others about their progress at any time. Find something like that. So during my early years, I was always on art forums, and later in my career, I had the art directors and the senior artists on the teams that I was working on. And I can't emphasize just how helpful a second set of eyes and constructive feedback can be to speed up your progress. You'll get better twice as fast, at least. Probably way more. And there are a lot of art communities around if you just look carefully. Be a part of one. Do it. And we're almost done. The sixth point is to work in airplane mode. Whenever you sit down to draw or to study art, put your phone in airplane mode, literally, or just silence it. The amount of time we all waste when we leave it on, distracting us with notifications every couple minutes, it's staggering. Not only that, it takes a lot of energy to bring our focus back to the art after being distracted in the first place. I made it a habit to set my phone to airplane mode each time I sit down to work, and I keep it out of sight to avoid being distracted and breaking my focus. The only thing breaking your focus should be an alarm after 30 minutes at most to let you know to take a break. The next point has to do with multiplying your time. Learning something once that you can then reuse in a multitude of different applications. For example, learning how to draw a human mannequin or the construction behind a human character. It's something you just need to learn once, but it'll come in handy every single time you draw a character in the future, regardless of the character. Same idea with learning the structure of the head using the Loomis method, maybe. Learning to draw hands, learning to draw ears, learning one color harmony. You can literally always draw the same on each character. In art, you'll progress much faster if you can spot those things that keep coming back and focus on getting good at those. Think of it as like learning a language, learning just a few common sentences and words that could allow you to communicate on a basic level. You don't need to learn the whole dictionary. And then finally, the last thing on the list, and I would argue possibly the most important out of the whole list, monitor your self-talk. That little voice inside your head that always seems to find good reasons why you should skip leg day at the gym, or that you'll never be as good as your favorite artist. That inner voice can often seem like an obstacle, but it's the same voice that also tells you, like you got this before an exam that you've prepared well for. It's all about making sure you don't listen to it when it tells you that you can't do something. It's easy for some, harder for others. I think a lot of it depends on our past experiences. If you've often been praised for your art, that voice will probably naturally be more positive, and that voice can be a powerful motivator, but it can also ruin you. If you keep telling yourself something can't be done, that maybe others could, but you could never, and that you're not a creative person or that you suck at anatomy, the problem with that inner voice is that over time we start to believe it and it gets to define who we are. The same way though, if you keep telling yourself that you got this, that if others could do it, then you can do it too, and that you will get good, no, that you will become amazing at art, then for sure, eventually you will. That inner voice allows you to, just like it can limit you. Be very mindful of it. That's all it takes. And that's gonna be it for this week's class. I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments. And of course, as always, you can grab my custom brush pack for free. It includes some of my favorite brushes, like the pencil brush that I used for today's drawing. Check the link for it in the video description. Beyond that, I hope you give those shortcuts a try. If you're not already doing them all, they're really not big life changes, you know, just tiny tweaks that have a big impact. Also, I hope you enjoyed the drawings in the background. They're from my project, Cornwall Island. You know, 2 ladies from the Crimson tribe. But yeah, anyways, that's it. Don't be late for next week's class.